Behind mildew, botrytis is probably the second most deleterious pathogen that a grape grower deals with on a yearly basis. There are three main times of the year at which botrytis is a threat: during the first phase of shoot growth, during flowering, and as we get close to harvest. Botrytis is a dangerous pathogen as it can reduce both quality and yield of a crop, and especially in the later stages of a season, can do so very quickly. Besides being unsightly and having negative impacts in the field, the fungus can also negatively impact fermentation in the winery, as it can increase the growth rate of acetic acid spoilage bacteria, which can cause stuck ferments and off characteristics in the resulting wine. Botrytis overwinters on canes, on clusters, and on the ground in mummified berries. Early spring rains will cause sporulation, and frequent rains combined with high humidity during the early stages of shoot growth can cause blighting of shoots.
So while botrytis is present all year round during the winter and then at flowering, the most obvious time that we see it is late season, when we get higher bricks in the clusters and the clusters begin to close up. So here you can see the botrytis. The infections start here at the tops of the berries, what we call the pedicel, and as the berries become mature, that tissue is necrotic, so the botrytis has a really easy time infecting it. The gray mold here, that's the botrytis, and then you're getting lots of secondary infections. The white mold is penicillium, you get black mold, all of these necrophytes that come in and begin to eat the dead tissue that the botrytis has created. At this time, it's really hard to do any control of the botrytis, as we can't actually get any sprays or any contact or any air for that matter inside of these clusters.
Unlike mildew, botrytis needs free moisture in order to grow. High humidity alone will not cause growth.
The key to any botrytis control plan is prevention. So that's why we'll do canopy management early in the season. So we'll be in here taking off these leaves, making sure we have good airflow through the clusters. Later in the season, if we are dealing with an infection, we may take that to a farther extreme. Leaf stripping the vine, taking all the leaves off over and around the fruit, so all air and light gets through there. Also, any fungicide sprays have good penetration, can get to the clusters. And then we also may drop clusters. We can do this early if we see a lot of fruit in the fruit zone. We can see clumping issues coming up later in the season. Doing it early prevents any ripping or tearing that you may do of the soft tissue later. If you do have an infection, we may come in here and any clusters we see touching each other, we'll drop them on the ground, getting us better airflow and also removing any infected tissue that may be there.
It is much better to watch the weather and rainfall during bloom and to check for infected flowers at this point. Applying fungicides which target botrytis pre-bloom and just before bunch close are also good proactive tactics. When applying any fungicides for botrytis, coverage is a key concern as well. It's not unusual to apply on an every row basis at 150 to 200 gallons of water per acre and to slow the sprayer down to 2 or 2.5 miles per hour, while targeting most of the spray at the clusters themselves. This will help get contact on any active botrytis inside of the clusters. Prevention is the much easier route with botrytis, as eliminating it once it has got to start inside the clusters is much more difficult, if not impossible. Certain varieties are more susceptible than others, but no grapes are immune to infection, especially in very high pressure years. Active field scouting, a good management plan, and a proactive approach will go a long ways towards a successful harvest.